Hi, this is Mike Verdicchio. Thanks for watching this video here on ConfidenceAndJoy.com. Well, today is Veterans Day, and the first thing I want to do is start off by saying thank you for serving to all of our veterans. Happy Veterans Day. And on this video, I'm going to share a story with you. And this is a story that I've been sharing on the radio on Veterans Day for a number of years. And actually, the background of how this story came about, I've always tried to do everything that I could to be very supportive of our veterans, not only on the radio, but also speaking at different events and functions, and just trying to do whatever I could do to show appreciation and gratitude for all of our great veterans. And people were surprised to find out that I am not a veteran. And so people asked me many times, why do you do all of these things? Why are you so supportive of veterans when you yourself are not even a veteran? And so one day, a number of years ago, at a veterans picnic, I decided to tell the story which tells why I'm so supportive of our veterans. And this was an all-veterans picnic in Phoenix. And after I gave my story, someone came up to me and said, gee, you ought to share that on your radio show on Veterans Day. Well, I always did my show live on Veterans Day for so many years at the Arizona State Veterans Home. Used to do the show live there on Veterans Day, and that was a couple of days coming up, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just share it on my radio show. And so after that, every year on my radio show on Veterans Day, I told my story. And I thought, well, you know, I'm not on the radio anymore, but I might as well keep the tradition going. So today I'm going to share that story with you. Now, this is a true story of a veteran. This veteran came to the United States of America when he was only 5 years old from Italy. His father had moved here pursuing the American dream and hadn't yet got his American citizenship, and his dad was back visiting in Italy when World War I broke out. And since he was still an Italian citizen, he was immediately called up to the Italian Army. And after about 8 months, he found himself on the front lines. And he was captured by the Germans and spent the duration of World War I in a German concentration camp. Well, after the war was over with, he moved back to the United States, got his citizenship, and began to raise his family. Well, if you know anything about history, it wasn't too long that, once again, the whole world was at war. And this veteran, like his father before him, served his country. Only his country was now the United States of America. And he arrived at Camp Campbell, I believe it's called Fort Campbell in Kentucky now, actually on his 21st birthday, January the 2nd, 1943. And he was assigned to the 248th. After basic training, he was assigned to Khorramshahr, Iran. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's in the Persian Gulf. It's near Basra, Iraq. And part of this soldier's duties was to drive the supply trucks. Now, back in World War II, the Allies drove supply trucks through Iran to the Soviet Union. And that was part of this soldier's duties, driving the convoy trucks. Now, I was told that when you're driving these trucks, the regular driving position, you would be holding the steering wheel kind of leaning forward like this. Well, one day this soldier was driving the last truck in the convoy, and snipers would be out in the desert waiting to shoot the driver of the last convoy truck and then, of course, steal the supplies. But on this particular day, this soldier was not driving up in this position because he was very tired and fatigued, and so he was driving leaning way back like this and at times even dozing. Well, the bullet crashed through the driver's side window and exited outside the passenger side window. Needless to say, this soldier was now wide awake and very thankful that he was alive. Had he been driving in the normal driving position of these trucks, the bullet would have struck him in the head. He spent the rest of his time in the Middle East during the war, and like most soldiers in war, saw horrible things and really never spoke about hardly any of them. After serving for nearly 3 years, he was discharged in November of 1945 and returned home to Denver, Colorado. In 1946, he got married, and in 1948, he and his wife celebrated the birth of their first son. 2 years later, their second son was born, and that second son was me. You know, that's the reason why I support the veterans, and I'm so grateful for the service of our veterans. You see, if my father had been killed, I wouldn't be here today. But because he served his country, I not only have life, but I live in a free country. And it's for that reason that I have a genuine gratitude and appreciation for all veterans who served, no matter when they served or where they served. This empty shell is from the 21-gun salute at my father's funeral 10 years ago. And as they very carefully folded the American flag and graciously presented it to my mother, I was proud that day to be an American. And so today, on Veterans Day, from the bottom of my heart to all veterans, I say thank you for serving our country. You know, the Bible says that we ought to pray for our leaders, those in charge of our country, for the purpose that we might live a quiet and peaceable life. And I do pray for the leaders of our country. And I also pray for God to raise up other men and women with great integrity and wisdom that can make the tough decisions that are needed to keep our country moving ahead and moving forward so that we can live a quiet and peaceable life. And I also pray and thank God for our veterans that are serving our country all over the world. No matter where they're serving or what they're doing, I'm thankful for their service to our country. And if you're watching this video and you're not from the United States of America, well, then you ought to pray for your country as well, because the Bible says pray for those that are in charge. So pray for those that are in charge of your country, and also pray for the brave men and women who serve your country, who stand there on the front lines so that you can enjoy peace and freedom as well. I put a couple of links below that you might be interested in. And also I wanted to mention that on the About page, you'll see a picture of me with Connie Stevens, the movie star. Last year, before the Phoenix Veterans Day Parade, I had the opportunity to do a short interview with Connie Stevens. Last year, she was the celebrity Grand Marshal, and I'll tell you something, she does a ton for the veterans, and she just loves them. If you'd like to hear that interview, just go to the About page and then look for the picture of me and Connie Stevens. I'm there with the movie star. I think you'll enjoy the interview and you'll get a chance to hear her heart on why she supports and takes care of the veterans. And then also below, I put a little something about the Medal of Honor, and you might be interested in that as well. So once again, on this Veterans Day, happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans, and thank you again for serving our country. I deeply appreciate it, and I have gratitude, and I'm thankful that every morning I wake up in a free country. It didn't cost me anything, but it took a very big price and continues to take a very big price so that all of us can live in this wonderful country and enjoy our freedoms. So thank you for serving. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments, go ahead and type them in down below. We'd love to hear from you. Once again, happy Veterans Day. Have a great one.